need some music, huh? I ain't got no music. I don't have nothing else. I'm gonna work on that. Ray, you got some music? I usually give people time to come on in. Hello, my love. So good to see you. How you doing, beautiful? All right, we just giving people time to join on in. Hello, hello. So good to see y'all. We got a special guest. I know y'all cannot see him on the Instagram side, but if you have YouTube, if you have Facebook, join on in on that side. You'll be able to see him. He is amazing, amazing, amazing. We just giving people a couple minutes to join on in. He is gonna be good, 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 juicy, juicy, juicy today. He is juicy too. So he rolled his eyes. I did that on purpose, y'all. So we are talking about some good stuff today. We're talking about miracles and what miracles look like. So y'all come on in. If you can't stay, I understand. Come on back later and just listen in. We got some good pointers. I really hope you enjoyed today's show. Once again, it's so good to see you. And if you are joining in for the first time on Facebook, on YouTube, hello, hello, hello. Mr. Rayson is over there on mute because he's trying to say Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collected. I am not that cool, calm, and collected. I am not cool as a cucumber. I am like hot, like, I don't know, firecrackers. I don't know. I'm all over. Yeah. So if you have a couple minutes, we're going to give them about 2 more minutes and we're going to jump right on in there, live and in charge. Okay. Hello, love. How are you? Thank you so much for joining. And if there are no, like as they say, no further ado, we're going to jump right on in. It is 8:31. I try to be punctual because Mr. Rayson is already on duty somewhere else. So I will be punctual and on time and be mindful of his time. And hello, my dear friend. Thank you so much for joining. So once again, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to R2C. It is Real Resilient Conversations, and my name is Quita Queet. I am your host of Real Resilient Conversations. And once again, it is Monday. So I hope your week is starting off wonderful. Welcome back to your end of month fill up. It is time for us to come back together, figure out how we can do this thing called life together once again. So whether you're alone, you're hugged up, snuggled up with somebody you love, your boo, your side boo, whatever it may be. I just want to say, whether you're watching it live or on your rebroadcast, thank you so much for taking the time out to join in and watch. This is something that we do every second and fourth Monday, where we come together to discuss a topic that has been given to me from God above. Gives me these quirky topics, and we just figure out how to bounce back from this thing called life. And I am honored that you have taken the time to stop by and figure out how to do this thing called life. And so do me a favor, if you enjoy this type of teaching, by the end of it, if you enjoy this type of teaching, please take the time to like, share, subscribe for somebody else, so that if it's not for you, fine, share it so that someone else may enjoy the teaching. So if you have not noticed, for those of you that are on Facebook and YouTube, we got somebody else on here. It's more than just my little cute face. I got somebody's handsome face on here too. Those of you on Instagram, that's all right. You'll be able to hear his handsome voice. I have a guest speaker on today. And let me tell y'all something. He is an actor, a preacher, an author. That's right. I'm going to let him tell you about his books. He's an author. He's a tall glass of water. And let me tell you something. He is an amazing man, y'all. I want you to give him a round of applause in the comment section and welcome him to Real Resilient Conversations for Mr. Rayson Thompson. Y'all give him a hand. Don't be acting shy over there, sir. The floor is yours. How you doing today?
I'm outstanding. Glad to be a part of this movement, and I'm excited to be here. Humbled to be here.
Yes, humble. Look at He's shy, y'all. He can't be that shy. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he a part of this. He can't be that shy. So that's all right. We're gonna break him out of shell. We're gonna break him out. He an actor. I know he ain't shy. He just being shy in front of y'all. Ooh wee. All right. Somebody said, hey there. Look at that. Hey, there we go. So for my bi-weekly returnees, those of you that come by on my bi-weekly every second and fourth Monday, welcome back. Our topic today is May miracles. So for May miracles, all right, tell me your thoughts on what tonight's topic has to do when it comes to resiliency. When we're talking about that bounce back factor, right? Your bounce back. What does that have to do with resiliency? And while you're typing in the comments, I'm gonna just let you know how how tonight's thing is gonna kind of go. We are going to hit on 5 different topics, and then of course we're gonna wrap that thing on up with a summary on our own type of miracle. Okay, so y'all hang on in there. I know it's gonna be a little lengthy because it's more than just Quita. It's more than Quita. So if you got to, go ahead and clean the kitchen, put the kids to bed, leave me on so you can hear us. Do what you gotta do. If you gotta leave and come back, that's all right. We're still gonna be here for a little bit. But while you're doing that, I really want to take the time out and define what miracles are. So miracles are, before I tell you, what do you think miracles are? Down there in the comment section, tell me what miracles are to you. And Mr. Ray, Rayson, what do you, whenever you think of miracles, I know that you are a preacher, so your interpretation of miracles may be a little different. So before I give my basic interpretation of miracles, I'm going to let you give your more defined interpretation of miracles while the people are taking the time out to put it in the comment section.
Well, if you're asking my definition of what a miracle is, I would say that a miracle is something that is divine, something that is outside what we can do naturally, and it's intervention from God into our natural lives, our everyday life, and something that we couldn't do had God not intervened. That's a miracle.
Okay. See, it's a little more detail. So let me tell you how I was gonna do that because it wasn't gonna be that deep. So I was gonna say miracles are, it's like a surprise welcome event. It's like, oh my goodness, but it's welcomed. It's a welcome event. It's usually something that can't be explained by nature or the scientific laws behind it. It's just like, I can't explain it, but I'm glad that it happened, right? And when it happens like that, you're like, whoo, I can't even tell you how to happen, right? And so what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to really jump into, the first topic that we're going to talk about is fear. And when we're talking about fear in relation to miracles, when you hear fear in reference to resilience and miracles, what do you think? Like, do those words even go in the same sentence? In your mind, should they go in the same sentence? And when they do, what do you think? Right? And for me, it's usually faith over fear equals resilience. That is the equation that comes in my mind. Faith over fear equals resilience, which is the doorway for miracles to happen. Right? And so for me, what does that look like? Right? And for you, what does that look like? And the reason I'm asking that is because everybody has a different way of looking at it. Everyone has a different interpretation, which is why for me, I like to use this is a conversation. This is a two-way street. I don't like to be the only one talking, in what ways has fear led you to a doorway that has opened up a miracle for you? So, Mr. Rayson, would you like to answer that first?
In what ways has fear led me to a door?
For a miracle to
For
happen
a
for you.
miracle. I think like when you're talking about fear and faith, my point of view, my understanding of how fear and faith work may be a little different
Mm-hmm.
than what conventionally people accept. Like most people say that faith and fear oppose one another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't necessarily um, understand it that way.
Okay.
Um, I didn't want to say this, but you brought it out that I was a man of the cloth, and so what I understand is that you know we we walk by faith and not by sight.
Mm-hmm.
And if fear was the opposite of faith,
Mm-hmm.
then that truth would have been said differently. It would have been saying we walk by faith and not by fear, but it
Okay.
didn't. It said
Okay.
we walk by faith and not by sight.
Okay.
So what I've learned is that there's a opposition between my faith and what I can see with my natural eye, what I can understand with my natural eye.
Mm-hmm.
So the enemy of my faith is my natural understanding, what I can see. That's the enemy of my faith, not necessarily my fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I don't want to get too deep, but
Mm-hmm.
when the good book talks about your perfect love overcomes fear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect love overcomes fear. Well, what is perfect love? Well, perfect love is a Greek word called agape love, and
Mm-hmm.
agape love is a love that works by knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a word. It's a love that you can activate on your own.
Okay.
Every other kind of love needs to be stimulated from outside of you, whether it's brotherly love, that's filio, the Greek
Mm-hmm.
word filio. That's stimulated because you like your brother, you love your brother. There's storge, that family love. That's
Okay.
stimulated because you got your family.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got erotic love, which is eros love, the Greek word eros. That's stimulated because you looked at somebody and you was like, hubba hubba. But all of those forms of love are stimulated from outside of you. Agape love is love that comes from within you. You
Mm-hmm.
can turn that on, and because of that, you overcome fear with perfect love because you overcome it with knowledge. What
Okay.
I know. It's like when you watch a scary movie one time, you try to watch it again, you're not that scared
Mm-hmm.
because you got knowledge of what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What makes us afraid is what we don't know. I say this all the time. The birthplace of all fear is the unknown.
Mm.
The
Okay.
unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to overcome fear, the best thing you can do to keep somebody from being afraid is give them reassurance, give them knowledge. Think about all the stuff that you're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of what you don't know.
Right.
If you're afraid of moving to a new place, it's because I don't know what's going to happen to me when I get there.
Right.
Talking about getting in a new relationship, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't
Baby.
know if that's going to, I don't know. That's
Baby.
where that fear comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So you overcome that with reassurance. And that
Mm-hmm.
reassurance is knowledge. And
Okay.
so, that's why, when I try to encourage people, and a practice that I use to try to overcome my fears is to try to learn as much as I can, um, to take my time and to understand, because understanding is going to help me not be so afraid and not be so apprehensive about
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is I'm about to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as far as going into leading me to a miracle. Um, the miraculous is all around us,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes my fear run me away from a miracle. But I would say sometimes you can have faith and fear in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I could be doing what it is that my faith is telling me to do, but I still have some fear.
Mm-hmm.
like, because there's some things I don't know.
Right.
So, you know, to me, it takes courage to walk by faith.
Mm-hmm.
It takes courage, because
Yes.
courage doesn't mean you're not scared.
Right.
Courage just means, in spite of my fear,
Right.
I'm going to still believe, I'm going to still trust my
Mm.
faith. So that's that's where I am, you know.
Yes. Okay, man.
So I didn't mean to say so much. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. This is why your opinion matters. Your opinion matters here. At R2C, we love opinions, honey. We love them. So, for me, I mean, this is why I see I want a little simplified. My fear that I immediately thought of was when I started a food truck.
Okay.
Was starting a business, that I had no knowledge of, but my faith was, you can do this. You have a passion. You want to be able to feed the people. You want to be able to give to the people. And so my fear was starting the food truck. The miracle was being able to see the homeless people that were hungry and to be able to feed them, to be able to encourage others that wanted to start a food truck or wanted to start a catering business or wanted to start a business at all. And then to see them say, girl, because of you, I did it. And I love it. And I'm glad that I did it. And then for me to be a mentor to those very people. And then years later, they're still like, oh, and I started another business. Oh, and can you tell me what to do with this business? Oh, and what do you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh, and have you thought about this? Dang, Quita, no, I didn't think about this. And it still makes a difference for me to know that out of my fear, the faith, the miracle was that I was able to help empower and help change somebody else's life. That to me was the miracle. You never know, out of your fear, the steps that you take out of your fear, what difference you are making in somebody else's life. And so this is why operating out of fear sometimes, that operating out of fear, and you start to take that backward step, like no, no. But then that faith walk is, you want me to walk on water? You see this water? This is water. Ain't nothing underneath it. You want me to take this step? But Lord, it's a little, right? Taking that step. When you the unknown, you don't know what's in the water. You don't know how deep the water is, right? It's the unknown, like you said, and that part of the fear, um and the reassurance, when, like you said, if you're going into the biblical aspect, he said, but come, come, it's okay, come. When your heart is fluttering, when your chest is tight, when your palms are sweating, when your bank account is low, right? The unknown. And so we're gonna talk about some of those other aspects. You kind of hit on some of the other ones here, and we're gonna jump into that too. So I was trying not to, because I was ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna jump into number two, y'all. Number two is self-love. Self-love. So once again, when you put self-love with resiliency and miracles, resiliency, miracles, self-love, when you associate all three of those together, what do you think? So start thinking about that, Mr. Rasan. The first thing, first thing for me, I say, let your inner voice be supportive and kind to you, right? Loving yourself works miracles in itself. It helps to change your life by um, speaking to you, right? Louise Hay, I think, was one of the authors that said something close to that. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you need to have. You can't expect somebody else to know how to treat you if you don't know how to treat yourself. If you talk to any therapist, any counselor, they're gonna say, well, how do you treat yourself? Do you take care of yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you know what it means to love yourself? Like, for a while, Quita was taking Quita on dates. Quita was going to get her nails done. Quita was going to get her hair done. Quita was taking herself out to get nice clothes. I was taking myself out. I was making sure I smelled good because I didn't want to expect anyone else to say, well, she don't take care of herself, so why should I have to take care of her? The expectation is if you you at least got to be able to upkeep this, if not better. And so when you're talking about self-love, right, it's your foundation. Your foundation shows others how to treat you. You can't let someone else mistreat you if you don't mistreat yourself. You can't let someone else talk down to you and say you're ugly, you don't deserve, you it to yourself. Y'all see what I'm saying? Does that make sense so far? And so we have to learn when we have to stay, when we have to walk away, when we have to wait, and that comes with self-love. That's understanding who we are, understanding what we need, and the miracle of self-love looks different for everyone else. It looks different for you. It looks different for me. It looks different for Mr. Rayson. But you have to understand what that means. You have to understand it for yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror every day and say, I love you. So guess what? Down there in the comments, put I love you. Put your name in there. Put your name in there. Put I love you, because I want to know. Who do you love? When you look in the mirror, you got to be able to say I love me. And you got to be able to know it. Because in the morning, on the days that I don't feel lovable, I got to remind myself I'm still lovable. When this hair come out that bonnet, baby, woo! Girl, I still love you. When I still come out my Betty Boop pajamas, I still love you. When I be like, girl, you need to get in the shower, I still love you. All right? You still need to know that you love you. Pimples, overweight, you done gained weight, lost weight, stretch marks, I still love you. Things don't look the way it used to. Your body's changing. You got a different diagnosis. I still love you. Self-love is so important, y'all. There's so many people unaliving themselves because they don't understand self-love. There's so many people unaliving other people because they don't understand self-love. Take the time to understand what self-love is. And before I ask Mr. Rayson, I am going to answer this first, Mr. Rayson, if you don't mind. Learning how to say no was so hard for me. I was a people pleaser for a long time. So learning how to say no was a part of my self-love. Because every time I said yes, I was taking more of myself that I had to give. By the time I gave everything, I had nothing left to give. And yet there's still times that I'm still learning this in certain areas of my life. I was lifting more and it was draining more of me. It was hurting too much of me to give. Then I didn't even have anything left to receive because I was so drained. Learning to say no was a part of my self-love. No, I don't have it to give. I'm sorry. I would love to be able to do that for you, but I can't today. The word no ended up being a blessing. That was the miracle for me, to be able to say no. Because I didn't say no. I was a yes girl for a long time. I didn't start to say no until I was about 29 years old. I didn't perfect it until I was about 35. And at 40, almost 40, I still sometimes be like, well, okay, I'm going to get up and do it. What areas of your self-love still need some critiquing? What areas of your self-love still need some miracles? Mr. Rayson, go ahead.
You got a heavy topic tonight. All the people out there that's watching, she picked a heavy topic. This self-love thing has become very popular lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons that it has become so popular is because there are a lot of people in the world who struggle with loving themselves. There are a lot of people who struggle with looking in the mirror and liking what they see.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who struggle with being kind to themselves,
Mm-hmm.
um, who struggle with looking out for their own best interests, truly for their own best interests.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why this self love movement is so prevalent right now is because something happened to a person. You don't have to teach a child about self love.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to teach babies that.
Hmm.
You take a bunch of kids and put them in the sandbox, they're gonna play with each other.
Right.
You're not gonna have a kid walk off and start downing himself or herself. What causes people to develop a pathology of self-loathing or not loving themselves or neglecting themselves is because some kind of damage was done to them by another person.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time we're around other people, there's gonna be an interaction
Mm-hmm.
and there's gonna be a comparison. Now, all comparison is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
All comparison is not bad. In its simplest form, some comparison is good
Okay.
because comparison should be used as a tool
Mm-hmm.
to help appreciate differences.
I agree. I agree.
And it's at its base level, in
Mm-hmm.
its simplest form. For instance, when a man sees a woman, he's going to see a difference. She's not built like I am. But you know what? I appreciate it. I'm glad.
You almost made me spit out my water.
Well, then that's a side effect of drinking on your show. um, when when um, when you see two flavors of ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
comparison helps you develop what are your favorites
Mm-hmm.
and what are the ones that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So comparison has a negative stigma, but what it should be is a tool. But a lot of times comparison can become negative. Comparison can become something that is used to make us, when we look at ourselves and we compare ourselves to somebody else, we'd be like, man, I wish I had what they had.
Right.
I wish I had developed what they developed.
Mm-hmm.
And you start comparison what's in your hand with what's in somebody else's hand, and you're like, I don't like this. And
Mm.
I don't like develops into I despise.
Uh-oh.
And
Uh-oh.
I despise can oftentimes turn into full on hate.
Oh, goodness.
And you a lot of people are walking around hating themselves.
Okay.
And so
You going
for
to the next.
years,
Uh-oh.
I don't even know the next time. But when you start hating parts of yourself, a lot of your life is spent trying to escape what you hate.
Mm.
So when you see people, and it's a trick, it's really a trick because you're trying to escape. Some people escape what they look like by putting all kind of nothing against makeup and stuff like that. Do
I
what
love
makes you feel
my
pretty. Do what makes you feel pretty. But some people do it trying to escape from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It can go as far as some people try to hide behind things they buy. Some people try to hide behind having all kinds of lovers.
Mm.
Some people try to hide behind validation from other people. And it's interesting to me because people was the reason why you hated yourself in the first place.
And so, real quick, this what you're talking about kind of goes into the next topic, which is self sabotage.
Mm.
And so that does go into that. That self sabotage is when they start to hate themselves. So then they start to do things because they don't love themselves. They start to and and I want you to finish that thought, but I
Mhm.
did want to hit on that self-sabotage. So then whenever they're doing these things, they end up hurting themselves in the long run, um, because of how they view themselves. They take it to the extreme, I guess is the way I'm looking at
Yeah. Oh, you want me to keep going? Yeah.
it.
So what I was leading up to is basically my grandmother used to say, you can't pour out of a glass what's not poured into the glass.
Hmm.
So, I remember when I was a little boy, I stumped my toe and I accidentally said a cuss word.
Hmm.
And my grandmother popped me on my hand. I said, I'm sorry, my dear. It slipped out.
Hmm.
And she said, how can it slip out if it wasn't already in there?
Oh,
And
oh.
so the question you got to ask is, how did it get in there in the first place?
Mm.
There are one thing about love, and because a lot of people that's talking about self love, I always try to err on the side of caution because love is a gift, and every gift yearns for one thing, and that's to be given.
Hmm.
If you're a talented singer, that gift in you wants to be heard, needs to be heard.
Hmm.
If you're a talented athlete, if you can run, that gift in you needs to be appreciated.
Hmm.
It yearns to be poured out. And love is no different. Love is a gift that needs to be given. It yearns to be given away. And a
Hmm.
lot of us don't have love to give.
Mm. Now, Mr. Ray, can I ask this question? Why do
Sure.
you think that is?
One of the reasons why we don't have love to give is just like what I said before. It's not poured in us.
Hmm.
And a simple definition to me, if you're going to talk about self love, is pouring love into your container.
Hmm.
I'm pouring it into me. If you see somebody that's hateful, always negative, always talking down on somebody, never have nothing positive to say, that's what's in them.
Hmm.
That's what's in them. A person that's upbeat, that sees the glass half full, that always looks for solutions, that's what's in them. It's not faking. That's who they are. But the reason why that's who they are is because that's what was poured in them.
Mm.
And at some point, we can't rely on somebody else to pour that stuff in us.
Mm.
When you talk about self love, that in and of itself is a miracle. Because when you talk about self love, you're really filling up your tank with love itself.
Hmm.
So it, and I hear people, I understand what you said, because I understand that about being able to say no, about
Hmm.
putting up boundaries and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, when you've poured love in you, I'll know what's in you when I see what you pour out.
Hmm.
When I see you walk by somebody that's hungry and you don't think to feed them,
Hmm.
when you see somebody that's lonely and you don't think to even ask, hey, you doing okay today?
Hmm.
It doesn't take much,
Right.
but those are things that love yearns to do.
Hmm.
And when you see people that shun the whole world in the name of self love, I wonder sometimes, what is that really? What are you really pouring into yourself? I wonder sometimes, how can you shun everybody, but you're loving yourself? Because if I'm pouring it in me, it's going to come out.
Right, right,
You're
right.
going to be sweeter. Because, see, when I see a whole lot of people talking this self love stuff, they're meaner,
Mm.
they're more spiteful,
Mm.
they're rebellious, they won't listen to anybody.
Hmm.
They only hang around people that enable them in some kind of risky behavior, They're super impatient. They don't tolerate pain and endure processes very well. And one of the things I struggled with was impatience.
I
Gee,
did too.
we,
I did too. I did
you're an angel.
too.
Everybody knows you don't have that problem.
I do. Very
But
impatient. I was very
but
impatient.
the more you pour that stuff in you, the more you talk about resilient. The best thing you can do with self love, you become more welcoming. You become sweeter. You become more understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You become a more deliberate giver.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really want to give and make sure that giving, what I'm saying, does its job. I'm
Right.
not just going to give you $1. Hey, man, what do you need? Are you hungry? Do you
Right.
need somewhere to stay tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sick?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you for real?
Right.
Love, when you pouring self-love, self-love, all that means is I'm not relying on somebody else to pour love in me. I'm going to take the initiative and pour love into my container myself.
Absolutely.
And you'll see the evidence of it when it come out. I have a friend. There's this friend of mine
Uh-oh.
who will remain nameless. His wife
Yep.
was going through this whole self-love thing.
Y'all pray.
And man, that lady was gotten more mean to him, more mean to their kids. She was getting into it with people at the grocery store, all in the name of self-love.
Mm-mm.
You
That's
know, real self-love,
don't
I
do
don't
that.
have to put it on a t-shirt. I'm loving myself. It'll come out.
Yeah.
It'll come out in your smile.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come out when you get on the plane and you got to sit next to somebody's rambunctious kid. It'll come out.
Right.
Self-love, it'll show because what's in you is always going to come out. My
Yeah.
father used to tell me all the time, people going to be who they are.
Mm.
You can only fake for so long.
True. The mask will start to slip.
That's right. The
Mm.
real you is going to come out. And a lot of times that's the real test is when you're pushed to an extreme. When
Mm.
you're angry, extremely happy, extremely afraid. When you're pushed to extremes, the real you comes out. And
Mm-hmm.
so like when you start talking about and I don't want to go ahead of your topic, when you start talking about self-sabotage, a lot of that is because what you thought was love being poured into you really wasn't.
Right. And just jumping right into it, I kind of went at it. What the devil meant for bad, God turned around for good.
That's
Right.
good. That's wonderful.
And so for me, I went at it thinking at least one of the ideas that popped in my head was being an eye candy model.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was like, that's what I thought I needed. That's what I felt like I needed in order for me to feel sexy, in order for me to feel desired, in order for me to feel wanted, in
Mm-hmm.
order for somebody to look at me and want me, right? And at that time, I'm thinking back on because that is what sells. That is what's on TV. That is what's on the radio. That is what you're hearing. That is what is being pumped into your eye gates, your ear gates. And if you are not protecting it, that is what you feel like you have to be in order for you to be what a man would want. The same thing with a man. I'm sure that there are men who feel like they have to dress a certain way, they have to drive a certain car, they have to make a certain amount, they have to uh, have a certain stature in order for a woman to desire them. And the self sabotage is when they don't do it, then what kind of things do they do to themselves in order to get it? What are they? And for me, I felt like I had to be a video vixen. I had to be the eye candy model. I had to um, have my body look a certain way. I had to be sexy all the time. I couldn't leave the house without makeup. I had to always look the part. But now I understand it. Then, no matter how many people told me, I wasn't at a mindset to where I could understand it. Now, how many women can I help? How many women can I explain to them? How many young girls can I save? How many young teenagers can I say, girl, you ain't gotta have it all out. You can still show a little bit, but it ain't gotta be all out. You ain't gotta have everything shared. It ain't got to be everything out. You can still be sexy. You can still be classy. And let me show you how. How many grown women don't know how to be sexy and classy at the same time? Let me show you how. Let me show you that there's going to be the right man is going to appreciate you at the right time, at the right season. Continue to be the right woman. But let me show you how. Let me help you. Let me guide you. Let me walk with you. But if I hadn't been through that, would I understand it? Would I seen it? Or would I be like, she walking around here with everything out like everybody else do? Because they haven't been through it. They don't understand what she's going through.
A lot of times, when it comes to, and I look at it like starvation, right?
Mm-hmm.
A man that is starving will eat different than a man who's not necessarily starving, just hungry.
Mm-hmm.
A man that's hungry, he's going to have etiquette. He's going to use the salad fork, and he's going to use the steak knife, and he's going to use this spoon for soup, and he's going to stir his tea with this utensil. He's going to take his time. A starving man is going to knock everybody upside the head, and he's going to eat with his hands, shoveling it down, because when you're starving, your body is going into a panic to get what it needs. A lot of times, and I believe that the way the Creator made us, He made us to need love. The problem is everybody doesn't always get it, but your body still yearns for it. So just like with food, your body yearns good, wholesome food, fruits and vegetables, non-processed meats and things like that. But when you starving, you'll eat honey buns and chocolate and cheese curls and all it. It's so good. It's so delicious.
I like it.
You'll eat candy all day because it tastes good. And when you're starving, you don't care.
Right.
You don't care. You just gotta feel a void.
Right.
In desperation.
Yeah, right.
The void that is created in us, and why self-love is so important. Real self-love, not just fake stuff.
Right.
Real self-love is important because you got to pour that love inside of you, in your container, in your heart. Because if you don't, you'll try to fill it up with validation from other people. And everything will always be about how somebody else feel about you.
Yeah.
For men, it'll always be about trying to impress a woman. For women, it'll always be about trying to get the attention of a man. And when you put real self-love in you, a person that's full of love is always thinking about how they can give it to someone. Even in a relationship, the motivation for a person that's full of love in a relationship is going to be, how can I bless the other person?
Right.
That's how you get blessed. I get blessed by blessing the other person. And the world, the secular world, their definition of what they think love is self-centered. What can I do for me? What you gonna do for me? What you gonna bring for me? It's full of it's over the top selfishness. And real love is consumed with trying to give. Always trying to give. That's his sole motivation. And it's not motivated by what somebody else thinks. Because I'm too busy trying to bless somebody. I'm too busy trying to help people. And there are some people, that have a hero complex. They have to be the savior. They have to be the leader. They have to be this, that, and the third. I believe there is a place in this world for people like that. I do.
Okay.
But the thing is, it is impossible for you to give real self love without having self knowledge. You got to know your weaknesses. You've got to know what you're susceptible to. What are your vulnerabilities? If you're trying to get away from poor behavior, bad decision making, hasty decision making, uninformed decisions, and things like that, you got to know yourself. You got to know you're vulnerable to that.
Mm.
Because if you're not careful, when you're trying to pour love into you, you'll have that void there. And what'll happen, like a starving man, when there's a void, a starving man will try to consume it. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll go overboard trying to replace what they were getting. Um, I know I got a lot of friends that used to be um, pole dancers and used to be video vixens, and I have friends that produced music videos, and that was the core motivation. They were consumed with trying to fill that void. They had to get that dopamine hit of somebody clicking like on their picture, somebody telling them how fine they were. Somebody had to, when they walked in the room, they felt like they were in the wrong place if they didn't feel like somebody looked at them and with want. And sometimes their motivation was, I'm gonna make everybody in here want me. That's because something in them is starving.
Mm-hmm.
Something is starving. I try my best to come from, and that's another thing love does. It always tries to come from a place of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like all that person needs, they just need a little more love. They just need a little more love, because when you're filled up with love, you're not consumed with, you're not starving for somebody else's validation.
Okay.
Validation, we starve for it because part of that is a lack of knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, it's impossible to have self love without self knowledge. Agape is love that's activated by knowledge. Unconditional love is activated by knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know who I am, I don't need somebody. I don't need somebody else to tell me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
If I know I'm wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need somebody to tell me I'm wonderful. I want to try to show you you're wonderful.
Right, right.
It's like, have you ever experienced something really, really good and you had to tell somebody else about it so they could experience it?
Mm-hmm.
One reason why crackheads hang around crackheads because they're like, you got to hit this dog. You got to get on what I'm on.
Okay.
Crack houses are full of people who told somebody about how good crack was.
Okay.
It's funny, but it's facts.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you get a hold of something good, I sound like my grandfather. Get a hold to. Whenever you get something good,
Mm-hmm.
you want to share it, and so it's not about I need somebody. It's a lot of guys that got to get the best, the fastest, prettiest car. They got to have the fattest crib. They got to tell everybody about how much money they got and how much they spent on that Louis Vuitton backpack, you know, and how they spent $2,000 on a Louis belt. It is like you gotta brag on what you have. There's nothing wrong with those things, but you're doing it to try to fill a void
Mm-hmm.
that love
When
can fill.
right. So whenever you're thinking about romance and you're talking about the romance aspects and the miracle behind romance, because you're talking about filling that void, and usually because the romance is still lacking, in the finding resilience, with romance and the miracle of still trying to find it, because somewhere somehow, they've probably been hurt, they've been divorced, they've been abused, they've been misused, they've been ignored, and that hope beyond hope, um, now they feel like they have to do a step above to get there. Whenever you are going that step beyond in order to try and find that romance or to find that love again, in your mind, or in your thoughts, how do you feel like that correlates with resilience and the miracle of it?
In the beginning, with the first man and woman,
Mm-hmm.
um, Adam looked at Eve and he said, "You are bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh."
Mm-hmm.
An oversimplified translation of that is he looked at that woman and said, "You're just like me." He saw himself in her. Well, why is
Mm-hmm.
that important? If I'm full of love and I love me, then in romance, loving you is loving me.
Mm-hmm.
Loving the other person that I'm in love with
Mm-hmm.
is giving to myself. So I can't help but try to nurture her. I can't help but try to provide for her. I can't help but try to protect her and give every molecule of who I am to try to bless this person because loving you is loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest gift that God can give a person is another human being.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue with that is a human being is the only gift that you can't control. So God can bless me with a car and I can determine when I turn it on and when I turn it off. God bless you with a person and what turned her on yesterday might not turn her on today.
Baby, because I am very
See all you fellas out there, you hear that?
I
It's it.
am very complex.
She's letting you
That was the
know,
word. I didn't say difficult. I said complex.
you know. And it's vice versa. You know, when a woman loves a man, if she loves him for real, that's something that you really, in its essence,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to teach a whole lot of it
Mm-hmm.
because that's one of the things God helped us to learn naturally. A lot of times, what hurt and disappointment from people does, it causes us to fight that instinct to love
Mm-hmm.
because you because of disappointment, you're thinking the last time I did this,
Mm-hmm.
I was devastated. The last time I did this, I was hurt. And so what happens is going back to knowing who you are and loving who you are, when you're guided, when you're full of self-love, that also helps with your decision making when it comes to romance. It helps you find that person because if you love yourself, you're going to find somebody that you see that beautiful part of yourself in. When a man sees a woman that he loves, he going to say, "Man, she's beautiful, but she's beautiful because I see a beauty in her that looks like me."
Mm-hmm.
When she sees that man, there's going to be a beauty in him that she sees in herself. You know, the Bible says that the glory of the man is the woman,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the best, the flex. The flex ain't his car, it ain't his clothes, it ain't how much dough he got.
Mm-hmm.
His flex is his wife.
Hmm.
And the thing is, when you love yourself and when it comes to romantic relationships, that in and of itself is a miracle because God has given me the greatest gift in the world that I can't control. You know, the Bible says that God is love.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Bible says that God created the universe, love created the universe. And when love created the universe, everybody knows this one. He said, "Let there be light."
Mm-hmm.
Love starts with a let.
Mm.
Love lets. Love doesn't make. Love
Come on.
doesn't force. He
Come on.
lets. He
Come on.
lets. I'm going to let it be. I'm not going to make it be.
Mm-hmm.
So in romance, anytime you in a situation where everything is forced and I got to make it be something,
Mm-hmm.
that's not love.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a let.
Mhm.
Love said, "Let there be."
Mhm.
And so when you see that person that you see yourself in them, you're saying, "Let there be peace. Let there be joy. Let there
Mhm.
be happiness. Let there be satisfaction. Let there be relaxation. Let
Mhm.
there be no drama. Let there be security. You
Mhm.
know, let there be affirmations.
Mhm.
Those are things that pour out of you because that's what letting does. I'm going to let this stuff flow out of me to you.
Mhm.
That's a gift.
Absolutely.
That's a gift. I remember anybody that has ever watched the movie The Notebook, I think the most beautiful line in that movie is in the beginning of the film. Noah's character, he says, "I thank the good Lord that he gave me an opportunity to love somebody with my whole heart and my whole soul." That's a gift to
Mhm.
be able to give that to somebody. And I think if more people looked at romance from that perspective instead of looking at it romance from the perspective of what the secular world calls it, with all of this surface stuff,
Mhm.
because I would rather be at peace than have all of that surface stuff and I'm still operating in the unknown. And we know the unknown gives birth to fear.
Mhm. Because we talked about that earlier.
We got all the money in the world. You can fly and go anywhere you want to go. You can
Mhm.
eat the nicest food that you want to eat. Have somebody else cook it for you. But you still looking over at the person sitting next to you and you don't even know them.
Or you can't even stand them.
I can't stand you because I no longer see myself in you.
Mhm.
You ever see two people together and somebody says, "I don't even know who you are anymore"?
Mhm.
That's really what their spirit is saying. Their
Mhm.
spirit is saying, "I don't see myself in you anymore."
Yep. Yep.
In a romantic relationship, it ought to be a mirror.
Mhm.
When I look at her and she look at me, when you look at whoever your boo is, and all
Mhm.
you people out there in YouTube land, when
Mhm.
you when you look at your boo and they look back at you, it ought to be a mirror.
Mhm.
It ought to be a
Right
mirror of
get
not
foggy.
only say what?
Right when that mirror started to get foggy, you're
Oh
like,
well. Back up from the mirror. You're breathing too hard in
you're like,
it.
mm.
You're breathing too hard. The mirror is foggy.
I
But
don't
you
know.
ought to see a reflection of not just who you are, but who you can be,
Mm.
who you're gonna be, the
Mhm.
best of who you are, the possibilities of who you can be.
Right.
I want to be better
Mhm.
because I saw that other person. The other person made me want. Man, shoot! My grandfather told me till he died. My grandmother made him want to be a better man
Mhm.
because he saw himself in that woman.
Mhm.
And she saw the best of herself in him. It makes you want to be better. So you talk about romance and you talk about a love affair and a hubba hubba love, you know.
I still want, I think for me, I
Mhm.
still have that fairy tale hope that like all little girls do. I still want that fairy tale love. I still want that biblical love, that biblical hope. That
Wow.
there's still someone that's still specifically crafted just for me. And so I haven't given up on that. And I know there are some people who have, and the miracle is still understanding that there's still one person that's still out there all over the world, but there's still one person that's still out there just for you.
That's a miracle.
That it is.
7 billion people on this planet.
And it's one just for you.
Ain't that if that ain't a miracle by the numbers? By the numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
So,
you think about all the places, how your life, where you end up in life. You started off way back in Buck Tussle, Alabama.
oh, stop it.
and you end up in Hawaii somewhere, or
Mm-hmm.
life has you in Chicago somewhere, or on the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's amazing the miracle that when you see, you don't even realize the miracle of your life is happening,
Mm-hmm.
and God is putting these pieces together just to cause you and
Line
your
up.
reflection to meet.
That's right. That's
7 billion people on this
and that's the
planet,
that's the miracle.
and little old me.
That's the miracle.
Oh wow!
That right there.
Talk
That should.
about resilience.
You know. Let me tell you something. If I was in church, I'd have been. I
Well, pass the offering if you ain't just pass the offering.
all right now.
The church need lights.
All right, let me go ahead. Let me go ahead. Go to the next. Let me go to the next one. I mess with you, Ray. So the fifth topic was gonna be on finance. Finance, y'all. Y'all know how many people break up over finance? You know how many people fight over finance? Uh, but how do you bounce back from finance? When you talk, or the miracle of finance, when you broke, busted, and disgusted, you you are repossessed, you foreclosed, you bankrupt, your account is in the negative, you trying to figure, you got the creditors calling your phone, you trying to figure out how you gonna feed your kids. Now, you still doing money mantras, you doing scratch offs, you playing the lottery, and it's still not working. But you trying to bounce back from it. And then, or you living in your car, you homeless, you don't even know how you gonna buy a house. You can't even, your renters account, it was so bad they won't let you rent anywhere. Your credit is so bad they won't let you buy anywhere, but you got kids. How do you bounce back to be able to help out the next person, and to be able to help the next person and say, come on, you ain't got nowhere to stay, I got somewhere, come on, I found somebody that let me live in their house, and now they let me rent out a room to you, come on. The bounce back effect. And the only reason, and because I'm not, listen, let me tell y'all something. Whenever I get married, I know my husband is going to be in charge of the money. I already know, because
Y'all hear that?
I already
All
know.
you guys out there.
It's like my husband is in charge of the money. So I already, we gonna, especially when it comes to household, I'll be like, I got my account, he got his account, we got a household account, and we got an emergency fund. Because Quita likes to shop whenever I get stressed. So, but I already know when it comes to finances, I already know, because if I love on somebody or somebody is in need, I will give my last to help another person. Quita, where's your money? They was hungry, so I'm just not gonna eat because they needed it. But Quita, what happened? Like, where's that suitcase of clothes you had? They needed clothes, so I just gave it to them. Whenever you're looking at where you've been, right? And you're looking at, because I've been there. I've been homeless. I've been living in my car. I know what it's like when the creditors are calling your phone, when you don't know when your next meal is gonna come from. I've been there. So when I see someone else that is in need, that don't know where they're gonna stay, if I got an extra house, an extra room in my house, come on, come on, for a month, for 2 months, for a year, come on. You know why? Because I've been there. You know how many times somebody else has let me rent out a room in their house, and sometimes rent free. Quita, don't pay me nothing. Just come. Why in the world would I not take care of my fellow brother or sister that's in need? The financial aspect is because we are all in some type of financial crisis at some point in our life. What you do with it once you get out of that crisis is now you become financially savvy. And what you do now with that knowledge is that you pass on that knowledge onto the next person, so that way they won't have to repeat the cycle. That is the miracle to me in the financial literacy. That's a miracle, is not repeating the cycle. Mr. Rayson, what you think?
I'll say this. There are a lot of there's a lot of good teaching out there about finance, but I think the foundation of all of it is stewardship.
Mhm.
Um, I heard the great before he passed, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe said um, the definition of the word care means to anticipate a need and to meet it.
Mhm.
To anticipate a need and to meet it.
Mhm.
So it is impossible for me to operate in true love and true care without anticipating the other person's need and meeting it. Well, if I'm anticipating your need, let's unpack that. If I'm anticipating your needs, that means that I have paid attention to you and
Mhm.
I've observed what your needs are. I've made an assessment of what that is. So now I have to take inventory and be a good steward of that. A person that's a good steward over their belongings, over their money, over their things, is a
Mhm.
person that'll be a good steward over someone else. It is impossible to care for somebody without being responsible.
Mhm.
One of the things that we have to observe is that God gifts people who are responsible. He will give a gift to a person that's responsible.
Mhm.
And when you care for a person, that means I anticipate your needs. I know my mom and dad care for me because they anticipated. I know my mama cares about my nutrition. She anticipated that I would be hungry. That's why she fed me. She
Mhm.
cares about me being clothed because she bought my clothes before I needed them.
Mhm.
I know she cares about my education because she took care of it before. Care is anticipation.
Mhm.
I looked ahead. I'm a steward of this. And
Mhm.
so if I'm a steward over another human being, if I'm a steward over myself, I have to be a steward over the means to take care of those needs, which is my finances. Because when you care for people, you're looking at the big picture.
Mhm.
Because you're saying is, okay, what is the big picture? I want to be able to help people. Well, if I don't have anything to help them with, do I really care?
Mhm.
So what I need to do is if I'm anticipating that somebody's going to need, then I have to make sure that I've supplied. I'm supplied to be able to meet a need because good stewardship means that somebody placed something else. One text says that if you can't be trusted with another man's things, how are you gonna be able to be trusted with your own?
Mhm.
How you going if I can't trust you with somebody else's stuff? So when you're a good steward, when you're responsible, you're looking at the big picture. I know one day I'm gonna have a wife that's gonna need something.
Mhm.
So I have to have something
Mhm.
to anticipate the need. And just like a woman, one day, if a guy is blessed enough to meet a woman that pays attention to what a man needs, she's like, well, I know my husband gonna need ABC 1 2 3. Do I
Mhm.
have that?
Right.
Well, if I ain't got it, let me get to getting
Right.
so that I can take care of that need. Be a good steward. It boils down to stewardship. When God judges us for our relationship, and that's another thing people don't realize, you're gonna have to pay an account of how you took care of how good of a steward you were over this other person.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to answer to God for that.
Mhm.
And God is gonna say, when they were hungry,
Did you feed him?
did you anticipate that they was gonna be hungry? Did you feed them?
Mhm. Mhm.
When they were cold, did you anticipate that they were going to be cold? Did you make sure they had somewhere to keep the rain off of their head?
Mhm.
Those are questions he's going to ask and you're going to have to answer.
Mhm.
So it boils down to stewardship. There are a lot of, like I say, there are a lot of books out there and things out there that can and people that can give you advice about how to get the bag. But one reason why over 75% of people that win the lotto are broke within 5 years is because they are not good stewards over
Mhm.
what they have.
Mhm.
They didn't anticipate what was coming. And I just would tell anybody that's watching this broadcast that if you're going to ask God to help you in an area, ask Him to help you in your stewardship.
Mm.
Look around your house. How am I going to expect God to give me a bigger house and I ain't taking care of the one I got?
Mhm.
How if you're a single person and you want God to bless you with a spouse, you don't even you don't even have what that other person needs,
Mhm.
and you want God to give them to you,
Mhm.
their life gonna be worse. I want to be a person that says, God help me. Like I
Mhm.
see a lot of people, and I'm not knocking this practice, but I suggest that as much as people that are single are praying for a spouse and Lord, I want my future husband to be this. I want my future wife to be this. And I want her to be 36, 24, and 36. And I want to be 5'2", and I don't want her to talk too much and all this, whatever he like. I would caution you, pray more for yourself.
Ooh.
Pray, Lord, help me to be a person that has enough patience for another human being. Help me
Mhm.
to be a person that has enough understanding for another human.
Mhm.
Help me to have enough resilience
Mm.
for another human. When they feel like giving up, do I have enough resilience to say, baby, we can make it?
Mhm.
We can make it. You know, it. We make vows when we get married. When people get married, they say for better, for worse, for sick, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health.
Mhm.
And every one of those things are reasons why so many people tear that covenant apart.
Mm.
Somebody got sick,
Mm.
somebody got broke, somebody did something they didn't like,
Mhm.
and they found a reason to break that covenant.
Mhm.
But when you are a steward, when your prayers are, Lord, help
Mhm.
fortify me, make me a fortress that
Mhm.
is full and ready to give to the right person.
Mhm.
And the other person, you get two people like that, they can't be stopped.
Mhm.
They can't be stopped. Nothing can break that bond.
Right.
No enemy can come and destroy that. Because what he's going to see God.
Mm.
He's going to see God because that's what God looks like. God is unity. God is agreement. God is stewardship.
Mhm.
That's unstoppable. I just, I encourage everybody from the bottom of my heart, think about what kind of steward you are over every area of your life. Are you a good steward of your job?
Mhm.
Are you a good steward of your friendships? Are you a good steward over your family relationships? That's a
Mhm.
tough one. Are you a good steward? And now it comes back to that self love. Are you a good steward with yourself? Did I anticipate this need?
Mhm.
Lord, make me ready for another person. I ain't just sitting up here praying for this super amazing, wonderful, uh, amazing woman, and you bring her into my life, and I've made things worse for her. Why
Mhm.
would God do that?
Right.
Because the other person, while you're praying, the other person's praying too. God loves them too.
Mhm.
And see, that's what love is going to do. Love is going to make you think like that. man, that person is out there praying.
That's right.
That person out there is believing God too. So, God, I don't want to be a burden. I don't
Right.
want to be a curse. I
Right.
want to be a blessing. I want to be something that they thanking God for, because
Right.
that's what she gonna be praying.
Yep.
So I just encourage you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen, just instead of spending so much time praying and telling God what you want in another person, He know what you want. He know everything. He know everything. He know what you want. He know what you like and how you like it. He know all that. He knows that. He's God.
So, Mr. Ray, let me ask you this question. Whenever you're thinking about a miracle that you have experienced, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
I'm still here. I'm still raising.
How so? What do you mean?
I watched I watched a movie called Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
It was an animated film, and in the film, there was a wizard that gave this boy these fantastic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the boy asked, "Why did you choose me?"
Mm-hmm.
And the wizard told him, he said, "I chose you because you went through all of that hurt, all that disappointment, all that pain, and you still kept your heart.
Hmm.
Your heart was not tarnished by what you went through." And for me, the miracle was that everything that I've gone through in life, all of the disappointment, all the heartbreak, all of the betrayals that I experienced, and I've had my share,
Mm.
all of being lied to, being gaslit, being ghosted, being lied about, lied on, and lied to, all of that stuff, being stolen from,
Mm-hmm.
being abused,
Mm-hmm.
being homeless,
Been there, been there, been there. Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff, the miracle for me is that I did not become like what was happening to me. People
Yeah.
become vampires because they got bit by another vampire.
Yes.
You
Oh,
become a werewolf because you was bitten by another werewolf.
come on now. Come
So
on now.
don't become what bit you.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
don't use your pain as an excuse
Yes.
to destroy other people.
Yes.
That's what resilience is.
Yes.
Resilience is, yeah, I was lied to, but you know what? I'm still gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they lied on me, but I'm still gonna tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stole from me, but I'm still gonna give. Yeah, they betrayed me, but I'm still gonna believe the best in people.
Yep.
Um, that's what resilience is. Because
Absolutely.
every time something happens to you, it's trying to convince you to betray those things.
That's right. That's right.
Every time you get lied on or lied to, that liar is trying to tell you, see,
Mm-hmm.
ain't no use in being telling the
Being
truth.
good. Ain't no use of being good to folk.
Yeah, don't be good. Don't love other people. Love you.
Yep.
But that's fake love.
Yep. That's that fake self-love.
That's that fake self-love.
Mm-hmm.
But the real self-love is, man, I'm so full of this stuff.
I gotta just spread it. Spread love.
Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
and when I hate to sound like this. I hate to do this.
Come on, preacher.
No. Talking about come on preaching. All y'all out there, y'all see she ain't gave the church nothing. Reach in your pockets. That is so silly.
um,
No, but when you think about somebody that even though they're hurting, they still try to bless people.
that's right.
That's a miracle, man. And
Yeah.
there are people out there that's watching this program right now watching this broadcast, don't give up. Don't stop loving people. Don't stop being sweet. Don't stop being kind. Don't stop encouraging other people, even though everybody always trying to discourage you. Don't stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start thinking, well, it's not going to work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen for me. I'll just watch everybody else do good. I'll watch everybody else have a happy relationship. I'll watch everybody else become a millionaire. No, God wants that for you too. Hmm. He wants that for you too. Don't fall into the trap of thinking because JJ got it at 25 and Kiki got it at 22 that I'm behind schedule because I haven't gotten mine yet. Don't that's a trick.
Of the enemy. I know.
That's a big trick. I think that's one of his biggest weapons.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that the enemy tries to give you that God hadn't already promised you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful truth.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize everything that the enemy tempts you with is something that God wants you to have anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Think about it. There is not a pleasure, there is not a thrill, there is not a feeling or a thing that the enemy has tried to give you that God doesn't already want to give you. He just wants to give it to you his way.
Oh, his way. Okay. I was getting ready to say, because then they was going to turn it around, make that thing, Mr. Rayson. I was scared to ask some questions.
That is why.
I was waiting. You had to finish the sentence. Wait to the sentence. Let her finish the sentence.
You know, some people ask for patience, y'all. Some people ask for patience. Just know this.
uh, well, my miracle wasn't as deep as yours. Maybe I should have went a little deeper.
Oh
Uh,
no, I just talk too much. You got to cut me off. I hate that.
so
I hate that.
whenever I thought about my miracle at the top of my head, the first thing I thought about a while back, this was a while ago, maybe like, I don't know, 15, 18 years ago, something like that. I was in the car with a girl. We had just came back from a party. We had been drinking. It was raining. And we were on the highway. She was
You
going on
were
the ramp.
drinking?
I was. Don't play with me. And we were on the highway. It was raining. She was going on the ramp. She came across the ramp too quick. Hydroplane, ran into the barrier, hit the barrier, spun the car around, flipped the car. When the car started to flip, all I could do was raise my hand and put it on the roof of the car. All I could say was Jesus, 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 as many times as I could. We ended up flipped upside down in a ditch full of water because it's raining. In a ditch on the side of the highway. The car started to fill with water. The girl started to, of course, panic. I'm like, well, we still alive. The car is crushed. We still alive. I'm like, if I can get out the seatbelt, we good. Got out the seatbelt. I'm like, okay. I'm like, can you move? She's like, my neck hurts. And I'm like, can you move your neck? She was like, yeah. I'm like, well, then I'm going to get you out the seatbelt because I don't need the car to blow up. We don't know. All I'm thinking is car crash. I can't tell what we smelling. We in the woods. I don't know what's in this water. We need to get out. We get out the car. I unbuckle it. Now we stuck in this car that's filling with water. I keep kicking the window until we get out the car. I ain't even told my mama this story, I don't think. Mama, I'm sorry if you're listening.
Knows now.
Kicked the window till we got out. By that time, somebody had already called the police. Fire truck met us there after we was sitting on the side of the road. Kicked her out. She's like, I got her laying there, but I'm trying to like cover her with like a jacket. Because I'm like, until somebody stops. Well, by that time, somebody pulled over to the side of the road. Fire truck then came. I'm like, the car is total. It's smashed. I'm like, with no broken bones, nothing. Neither one of us. She a little stiff, nothing. I said, all I could say was, God, you faithful. God, you faithful. God, you faithful. God, you faithful. Miracle worker. I looked at that car. I'm like, you know how you crush up a can when you're done with it? That's why I kept looking at that car like, and how we get out of it? That's all I kept saying. How we get out of it? And the firefighter was like, how'd y'all get out the car? I was like, oh, I just kept kicking the window until we got out. He
The
was like,
baby feet.
he was my baby feet. I can't stand you. I was like, I was determined. I was like pure adrenaline. I was like, we were not going to die in this car. I was like, it was filling with water. I didn't know what was in that water. I wasn't going to drown in no no, we wasn't going to do it. I wasn't. God did not give me the spirit of fear, and I surely wasn't going to drown. So all I could think of was by that time, the fireman gave us a whole ride back to the base. This is at Keesler. Got his phone number at the end. All I kept thinking was, God, you love me enough to get me and this girl that we have been drinking up to no good, got us out of this car. And all I could say was, God, you faithful.
God did all that to give you a fireman.
And then I still didn't even keep his phone number because he still wasn't worth nothing.
And there's that. No.
So I know that we have gone well beyond our time. However, this was a lot of information, well worth it. If you missed it, I urge you, I urge you, please go back and listen. Put it on, like I said earlier in the message, put it on, just clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom, just listen. Because that's some good information on tonight, I promise you. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's message. It has truly been a pleasure, Mr. Thompson, to be here, to have you on tonight's show. I truly hope that you come back and be a part of the R2C crew. It has been truly a pleasure to have you on here, to have your thoughts and to have your insight on tonight's topic on the main miracles. There's so many miracles that have been spoken on, and the ways that we view miracles, and the ways that we experience miracles, and the way that we view love, and how love is in every thing that we do, in every way that we do it. And so if we have said something tonight that has touched you in some way, please share it. Subscribe. Make sure that you share it, to inbox it. I don't care how you get it out there. Get it to somebody that you feel needs to hear this message. Really to to give their thought process a tune up. On their fear, on their self-love, their self-sabotage, on their romance, their finance, and just on how miracles can happen in every way, in every day, on every day. So once again, I'm your host, Quita Quee. This is my gracious special guest, Mr. Rayson Thompson. Thank you again. We will be back. I thank you so much for being hot, because you was hot, sir. Honest, open, and transparent, of course. Honest, open, and transparent. Thank you so much for being hot on tonight. Come back and see us on my birthday eve, which will be on June 12th.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday coming up.
Yes. And guess what? By that time, ain't no telling who's going to be here. It might be a whole family affair. We are going to be talking about midlife. Come on. Do y'all know what it's going to be? Midlife notice. Midlife notice. I'm hitting the big 40, so it's midlife notice. And with midlife notice, it's nothing bad, but I want y'all to join on in, just talking about some things with life and the bounce back factor when you hit that midlife notice, and how we can become better people and bounce back from the things that we wish we had known in our 20s, so we could get back better in our 40s. And from our 40s, how we can become better 60-year-olds. Okay. So until then, same place, the same place, the same place with the same face, same smile. I love y'all. Until then, see ya. Y'all be safe, okay? Ray, you hold tight, boo. I see you, okay? All right, see ya.
I'm in trouble.
Over there in IG land for staying tight. I love y'all. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You welcome. Thank you.